Well, hi, and welcome along to Jump to It. We're going to be looking at day two, the Wednesday of Royal Ascot here. Delighted to say I'm in the company, as ever, of Stephen Harris. Stephen, how you doing? You well?
Yep, very good, Ed. Fast ground, another sunny, hot day expected. Brilliant racing again.
Absolutely, yeah. Sun's due to be out all week at Ascot. Temperatures touching 28, 29 by the weekend. And right, let's just get straight into the action. Now, the 2:30 on Wednesday is the Queen Mary Stakes. Nice straightforward one for the fillies. This Group 2 assignment over the 5 furlongs. 21 runners due to go to post, Stephen. I mean, how do you even begin, in my view, to pick this apart? I mean, loads of individuals who turn up here with a win next to the name or two wins next
Mm.
to their name, and collateral form very thin on the ground, if in some cases non-existent. Is this a race you swerve, or will you be playing?
It's a good race to watch, Ed, isn't it? We've got a short price favourite in Love Reigns. Wesley Ward obviously knows the
Mm.
time of day at Royal Ascot. At the time of recording, we haven't seen Tuesday's racing yet, so it'll be interesting to see how his horse has got on Tuesday as a marker for the chances of Love Reigns, who's under 3-1 at the moment for this race, having won impressively on debut 7 weeks ago in America. Impossible to weigh up what she achieved there, but we do know that Dramatised of Carl Burke sets quite a high standard on form around 5-1. Carl Burke, we always talk about stables in form. He's had 7 winners in the last 14 days, 15% strike rate. They're absolutely flying. He's got some brilliant juveniles this season, Carl Burke, and he's teamed up with Clifford Lee, who's a really improving young jockey, been around for a few years now, but is riding better than ever. And Dramatised was really impressive. Sent to Newmarket at the end of April and winning that maiden in amazing style, really having missed the break, sprinting clear. Now that form is very solid. The runner-up, Malreskia of Andrew Balding, of George Bowie, I beg your pardon, has come out and won twice since. So it's working out particularly well.
Mm.
And Dramatised, who looked inexperienced in the first half of that race, showed a really bright turn of foot on good ground. I don't think firm ground is going to be any issue at all for her. She's 5-1. She is drawn on the opposite side of the track in 17 to the favourite, and you'd imagine that Wesley Ward's horse will go forward, so that might be a slight concern. But a small stakes, a race to watch. But I thought Dramatised was the form choice.
Yeah, dramatised the pick for Stephen there. Uh, Interesting race this, because Love Reigns, I never know quite where to sit with these Wesley Ward runners. I mean, are they overhyped? Is the hype justified? Is
Hmm.
3-1 a good price? Yeah. Sometimes I just don't quite know how to play the. Just general rule, I just leave them alone. You're never going to
Yeah.
find a Wesley Ward horse floating around at double figures. And they're either the second coming, or they seem to bomb out. And either way, I just, whatever reason, just can't
Yeah.
work out which angle in I should be coming from in terms of perhaps setting the parameters, what price they should be.
Yeah, they're impossible to assess. Someone I respect a lot always lays them a place because they're often at the front of the market and they're sort of 5-4, 6-4 a place in these sort of races. And obviously, every now and then you bump into one that blitzes them, wins by 6 lengths, and they don't see him. But the value laying the place is probably the fact that if they are going to get beat, they often drop away and just don't stay. They've got so much pace. A lot of these races in America are over 4 furlongs on dirt, and suddenly quite a stiff 5 or stiff 6 furlongs at Ascot on fast turf is a different test. So yeah, they're very hard to assess, aren't they? I know one thing that the market is quite a good guide to their chances. He's had some big drifters at Royal Ascot over the last few years, Wesley Ward, that you've needed radar to find at times. But if they're strong in the market, like all these races, it's usually a good guide. I think this one's bound to be very pacey and very fast and liable to lead. But whether she sees things out is another matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Bottom line is dramatised will be the pick of Stephen in the 2:30, and it is one I'll very happily sit out. I think it's fair to say. Right, on to the Queen's Vase. A totally different test here at 3:05. We've gone from the 5 furlong 2-year-old fillies. You're over to mile 6 here for the 3-year-olds. I think changing to the garden our feet towards the top of the market. No, changing the guard doesn't run, does he? Hafit is your market leader with cheap pieces on for the first time for the Charlie Appleby team. How are you kind of summing this one up, Stephen?
I thought this was really hard. I didn't have a strong opinion. I've stuck with Carl Burke again because of Al Kareem, who's 10-1 and bigger. I think this might be a classic case of people have a bit of snobbery about handicappers jumping up into group class. And Al Kareem, I think for Mark in the high 80s at York last time out, showing a brilliant attitude, making all the running and finding plenty for pressure. Hopefully, does step up in trip now. They'll still ride the forwards and make all the running. Loves fast ground. Should be still improving. Only had a handful of runs. As we've already said, Carl Burke in terrific form. I thought this was the one to beat, but it's a very trappy race. I think it's at least 5-1 the field. There's been money around for Nahani in the last
Mm.
24 hours. That one would be a very interesting run. And Charlie Appleby obviously had loads entered up here, and they've gone for that one and the one you mentioned, Haffett, as their two against the field. But no, a tough race. But I thought double figures about Al Kareem was fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Al Kareem for Stephen there for the Carl Burke team. Yeah, you're right. Godolphin, big hand in this, don't they? More specifically, Charlie Appleby does with Hafit and Nahani. Interesting, Will Buick is on Nahani. Of course, reportedly, he was one of the horses who got spooked and ruined by the, how should we say, firework gate, I suppose is how you describe it
Oh,
as on Derby Day. And his chance was gone by the time they got to post, is the alleged line on that horse. So it'd be interesting if he reappears. Well, it does reappear, but interesting how he gets on his reappearance just 11 days later. I've gone in here as an each way play with Anchorage for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. I just thought this individual was gloriously slow, to put it politely. Stepped up to 10 furlongs at the Currow in a Group 3 last time out. Took an age to get going. And really was making all his best work in the closing stages. Wasn't doing it in a hurry. Was reminiscent of the Titanic, I think it's fair to say, but goes up another half a mile. And looking at this individual's breeding, I'm sure there'll be more to come over a staying trip. But official ratings suggest it doesn't have a great deal to find. So Anchorage for me in the 305, the Queen's Vase. On to the 340, which is the Prince of Wales Stakes. Now, I'm going to lead off here. I just think Baybridge wins. As straightforward as that. This horse is on an upward curve. So Michael Stout's flying again. He absolutely wiped the floor with him at Sandown last time out. All right, it was a Group 3. But he did it in impressive fashion. This looks the lovely cliche of Sir Michael Stout, 4-year-old improver. But I think this is your case in point here. And I think Baybridge, what is he, 6-5, turns up and he wins. Right, over to you, Stephen, to take me on.
no, I don't. I don't disagree with you. And I'm quite surprised at the market here. I think this is one of those. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Baybridge was a shade of odds on rather than the shade of odds against. I've got no idea what the Japanese horse has achieved winning in Maidan. It's extremely hard to compare the form. You just have to say that overall they don't tend to cut much ice when they come over here and race on fast turf. So that one's 3-1 second favourite now, ridden by Christian De Muro. State of Rest, Joseph O'Brien, he's going particularly well, but this is a big jump in class. Lord North's now 6. I'm not sure he's the force of old. And again, Grand Glory, a mare trained by Gianluca Bittolini, who's been running in France, Tokyo, around the world really, on much softer ground in the main. Very hard to assess. Baybridge is improving. It was extremely well backed at Sandown, first time out, and showed a really smart turn of foot on drying ground to win impressively. He's the now horse. Sir Michael Stout has had 6 winners from his last 19 runners. I would imagine Baybridge might improve a touch for that first run of the season. He's 5-4 in a place. I think that is a very fair price. And there's a lot of horses against him here in a small field that the public are unlikely to want to back, in my opinion, whereas Baybridge is going to be a public horse. So I can imagine our listeners, if you want to take sort of 5-4 or 6-5 now, I should think by the time you get to post time, you're going to be in a very strong position to be able to do whatever you want on the race, because I think you'll be ahead of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think he'll get the job done, and he could go off shorter. You're right with Japanese individual here, Shariah. Bit hard to weigh up. I mean, beat Yabir and Neck last time out. I don't know whether to take that form literally, because there were some pretty useful sorts in behind him, like of Hukum, Alan Quer, a pile driver. So it is pretty smart form, but was beaten on a couple of occasions before that. All in all, I'm with you, Stephen. You can kind of look at the form abroad, and we do have a lot of, I should say, angles in regards to a lot of British trade horses. That one beat last time out, but again, it's the travelling factor, and was that kind of
Mm.
a bolt out of the blue? All in all, I just don't really know. But I just think Bay Bridge. I often try and look outside the obvious, but I actually think this just is the obvious winner. So
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with Sir Michael Start there. Bay Bridge get the job done in the Prince of Wales is at 340. Right, on to the 420. The Duke of Cambridge stakes here. 8 due to go to post. Saffron Beach, Mother Earth vying for favouritism. And of course, you've got Baskerova won nicely recently for the William Haggis and Tom Marquand combination at 4s, and you're looking 11 to 2 or bigger. The rest, what about you in this one, Stephen?
I thought Saffron Beach at sort of 7 to 2 or 4 to 1 was probably one of the better bets of the day. I like Jane Chapelheim. She doesn't have many horses, but she places them really well, and she's got a good strike rate overall. This one was really impressive last season, winning her final 2 starts at Sandown and Newmarket at a useful level. She loves
Yeah,
fast ground. That's the key. She's a very strong traveller. In her early days, she was very hard to settle, but she's got much better with more racing. And I thought arguably it was a career best run on the figures when finishing 4th of 14 at Meydan back in March. That was her first run for 5 months. She's been trained for Royal Ascot since then. I think she's got everything in place. William Buick, who knows her well, is a really good bookie. He's probably riding better than anyone at the minute. And I think she might do these for speed on fast ground. I think horses like Mother Earth, who
yeah,
is disputing favourites, is more of a grinder, a battler, a
yeah.
scrapper than a fast ground horse with a turn of foot. And I think everything's in place for Saffron Beach.
Yeah, you're spot on. Obviously, Will Buick was on board Saffron Beach when she beat Mother Earth in last season's Kingdom Bahrain of Chariot Stakes. And ground is a good point there. Mother Earth does have lots of good form with substantial give underfoot. So Saffron Beach for Stephen, I'd probably be with you, but not the type of race which floats my boat from a betting perspective. On to the 5 o'clock now for something really straightforward. The Royal Hunt Cup. Here we go. 1 mile on the straight course. Good luck. That's all I could say. All these, look, we don't really get preview shows per se in terms of doing the pub rounds or the pub circuits 4 or 5 weeks in advance for Royal Ascot, do you? But the phrase which always comes up about this is, oh, wait until you've seen the draw. Wait until you've seen the draw. And my view is, by the time you've worked out the draw, it's gone the other way. you
Yeah.
can you can tie yourself in absolute knots. I mean, what would be your, as an overall kind of angle in here to this race, Stephen? I mean, do you sounds silly? Do you look at the horse first, or do you pigeonhole a certain section of the draw and say it's got to come from those, or do you go
Yeah.
ground first or trade? Do you have a specific set of parameters to attack a race like the Royal Hunt Cup?
Mm.
Where, I mean, crikey, 33 runners. To me, an absolute nightmare. But I suppose the flip side is you're going to be rewarded financially if you do find the winner.
Yeah, I mean it's at least 12 or 14 to 1 the field on form. It's impossible to make things less. There are a couple of 8 to 1 chances. Watch the early races, Ed. I mean, generally speaking, at Royal Ascot, there's no reason at all why there should be a draw bias. It'll be complete incompetence if there is, because we haven't had a lot of rain. It's down to them to get the track in order. They've not had a lot of racing on it. It should be in pristine condition. I'm sure it will be. Every sort of 1 year in 5, there is a bias. There's a dead rail, or there is a huge track bias for no logical reason. But assuming there isn't, I really do like Escobar here as a 25 to 1 chance. He's old enough to
Mm.
smoke. He's run plenty of times, but he's got a good strike rate in these sort of handicaps. He's had 6 wins from 55 on the turf. He's usually thereabouts in the frame. He won on his seasonal reappearance at York from miles off the pace, which isn't easy there. He is now right up in the weight, so people are going to ignore him. And he's 8, and he's fully exposed, and he's trained by a northern trainer they don't normally have winners at Royal Ascot generally. But I think 25 to 1's a bit of an insult. I mean, I watched his run at Epsom in a Group 3. It was only 11 days ago, but it was a pretty remarkable run. Now, he might be flattered. He obviously dropped right out the back and pulling hard, but he ran an incredible race to finish 4th. He's back into a handicap here. Obviously, on the figures, there's probably 10 or 15 horses who are better treated and open to a lot more improvement. But from an each-way perspective, he's drawn low in 5. There's a lot of pace on that side of the track. He'll get a lovely toe. I'm sure he'll be in the first 8 unless he gets knocked over and doesn't get a run. I think he's a really good each-way bet. as I say, he's at least 25. He'll probably be sort of 40 or 50 on the exchanges, but with the extra places, 8 places maybe for looking, I think he's a really solid bet at around 25 to 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that type of race, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can get involved in Escobar, a big price there. I was going for another golden oldie. This again is I must hasten. This is a tentative selection, but bless him for Dave Simcock, Jamie Spencer. This horse won the Britannia 5 years ago. Would you believe it? Yeah, 2017 Britannia winner, but just enjoys Ascot. 2 wins at Ascot from 6 visits. Been there and done it. Spencer on board, racing the ambulance, racing the camera crews for the first 3 quarters of the race, and then it will be a hostage to fortune in the closing stages. And we'll just look for the gaps at the right time. But again, shop around, especially in a race like this. I think it's 33 to 1, kind of 6 places there or thereabouts. But again, check your concessions. There could be all sorts of bonkers offers going on. But yeah, I'd be tentatively bless him to run into the frame under Jamie Spencer. But yeah, always a race, which is a great watch.
This is Jamie Spencer's track, Ed. I mean, I cannot.
Yeah,
He's not for me, Jamie Spencer. I've got to be honest. I always say the same thing, but this is his track. They go too fast. They get racing a long, long way out. He sits last. He sits last if he's in 90% of his rides, unless it's a job on the all weather. And this track is absolutely ideal. And again, extra places. Jamie Spencer's a good jockey for extra places because of the way he rides. You're not going to be on a front runner who's 6 lengths clear, weakening out the frame. He's riding to pick up the pieces. So the place prices are too big in relation to the run style. So I can see your argument completely there.
yeah. If he can run on to into 6th, I'll go and get myself a diet lemonade. I'll be me happy for the afternoon. Right, on to the 5:35. The Windsor Castle Stakes here. 5 furlongs again. It's the great contrast of Royal Ascot, isn't it? You've got the stayers,
Brilliant.
got these huge
Yeah.
field handicaps, and you've got the absolute speedsters on display. Right, my selection's not going to line up. I was all over Woolbank for the David Lock name team. At the time of recording, I'm not sure whether he will go to the Norfolk Stakes or whether he just will miss Royal Ascot. Anyway, so my views are now totally redundant on this one. 24 runners in the lineup here, Stephen. Any strong view on this? I think Little Big Bear is your 3 to 1 market leader.
Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, Little Big Bear is an incredibly short price, but we have been here before with Aidan O'Brien at Royal Ascot. They know exactly what they've got and they know which ones to run and they can measure them at home against each other. So the fact that he is 3 to 1 favourite probably is a clue. That being said, 24 runners, Ed. This is probably the least punter friendly race of the whole week. Putting
Yeah.
aside draw bias, luck in running, and all the rest of it, it's very hard to scream having a big bet on this sort of race. My token selection was Wesley Ward's Seismic Spirit, who finished second in a 3-horse race at Churchill Downs on his debut. But obviously, Wesley has got a massive team. He can bring who he wants over to these races. You have to respect that he's chosen this one. The run came on firm ground. The third, who finished last, the three's run really well in defeat since, for what's that worth. And I should think Seismic Spirit will have loads of pace and could give you a good run for your money, but not a betting race for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll both be 5:35. We'll be getting a cold brew on that occasion, and maybe then leave it to the lucky last to pounce. Stephen, the Kensington Palace Stakes at 6:10. Mile action here. Again, rattling quick ground, huge field, 23 due to go to post. A wide open looking race in your view, or do you think there's a bit of an oversight in regards to the bookmakers?
Well, I have gone for one of your long shots here. Hopefully, it won't be the
Oh,
same one as you. I'd be amazed if it was. Rosemary in Time of Hughie
right.
Morrison. Hugh Morrison does really well with his few flat horses. Really well. He hasn't got that many horses. Let full stop this season. I don't think things have gone wrong over the last year or two, but he's still a very good trainer. And this one was a massive eye catcher under Paul Mulrennan at Musselburgh last time out at a big price. Dropped out, never landed a blow. Car park trip. Finished with loads of running left in the tank. Now, whether that means that she's ready to win a Royal Ascot handicap's another matter, but she is well
Yeah.
treated on the pick of her form. She likes fast ground, and I think the fact that Tom Marquand is booked is probably a big clue in itself. She's 25 to 1. Again, extra places, the usual. Have a few quid on her each way.
Absolutely. Look out for that individual. Check your concessions, check your prices. Bit of a broken record with that, but it will make a huge difference in a race of this nature. I've been hit with an absolute spout of non-runners here. I think my selection's not going to line up here, which was the Andrew Balding representative, Achilles or Archelios. So either way, I'm out, in the words of Doug Bannatyne, for the 6:10. I'm gonna happily swerve that one too. So it's going to be quite a quiet ending to proceedings on the Wednesday in regards to getting involved at Royal Ascot. I might have to try and drum up some interest somewhere along the line. No, great stuff there. We've gone through every race at Ascot on the Wednesday. Now to nail your colours to the mast then, Stephen, just to sum up two jump to it views, who would be your best three bets on the Wednesday?
Yeah, in the 420, Ed, I really like Saffron Beach. Jane Chapelheim, I think she's a really good trainer with limited ammunition. Firm ground, absolutely ideal. Strong traveller with a turn of foot. Hopefully Buick will produce her late. In the Royal Hunt Cup, the veteran Escobar, who's 25 to 1, look for the extra places, will be held up. Got a good draw low, near a lot of pace. Hopefully Danny Tudhope can swoop late. Anyway, it should be in the first 6, 7 or 8 if you can find the extra places. And my long shot was Al Kareem in the 305, representing a brilliant yard, Carl Burt. They're absolutely flying. Steps up in trip, really taken by that one's handicap win last time at York. I think can handle the jump up into group company here.
Yeah, brilliant. An array of selections there, a plethora of value from Stephen Harris. Well, I'm absolute short shot, Ted, aren't I, really? I'm left with Bay Bridge as my 11 to 8 shot to win the Prince of Wales Stakes. I think it will just win for Sir Michael Statt and Ryan Moore. I've got to get stuck in somewhere. I'm getting tempted into Bless Him at 33 to 1 under Jamie Spencer in the Hunt Cup, just to stalk his way into contention and be a never near a fifth or so. But either way, that will just be my picks on the Wednesday. Relatively quiet compared to some of the other days. But of course, my thanks to Stephen for your input there. Don't forget to check out all Stephen's tips on bettingexpert.com. And thanks for you for watching at home. And of course, don't forget to check out all the latest news and features on irishracing.com. We've got lots more shows coming throughout the week. We'll be doing Thursday, Friday and Saturday previews, where we should have Vincent Finnegan back from sunny Spain to be getting involved and giving us the update on the Irish angle in a lot of these. It'll be interesting to see how all the Coolmore representatives have got on by the time we get to midweek. If you do like to have a bet, of course, please do gamble responsibly. Enjoy Royal Ascot. We'll see you again soon.